Well, hello there, and welcome to Bare Minimum Sports. It is me, Dominic, along with me, Elliot, and welcome to a new sports show where we give you the bare minimum effort.
Pretty much, yeah. There's not much of a plan here. We have a bit of a notepad where we write down things you might want to talk about, but it is at random. We don't know ourselves what we're going to talk about. It's just two guys who both love sport talking about sport, which way it goes.
Exactly, and just to preference right off the bat, this is all pre-recorded, nothing live. So if we're talking about something like a sporting event that's going to happen in the next couple of days, and then this comes out 2 days after that, whatever we say is probably going to be wrong about it.
Yeah. It's going to age like milk, I imagine. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It's almost setting us up for failure. I'll sit here saying Liverpool will win, and then I'll watch it back as we've lost the game. So
I know. I think that's going to be the beauty of it too, is that because it's bare minimum, um, we're going to go over a little bit of everything, and we're going to be
yeah.
wrong a little bit about everything.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah. Take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, my best analogy is that we're on a track and field, everyone's running, and we're the two just walking through it.
Yeah. We're happy to participate.
Exactly. But since this is all new and people are starting to know us, we probably should go over what our favorite teams and what our favorite sports are, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Should I take it off the bat?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yes. So my name's Elliot. My channel is IMO Reviews, which is all about movies. But my football passion is with Liverpool Football Club. You'll never walk alone. It's a big season for us this year with Klopp leaving. We are giving it hell for leather to just win everything as much as we can, which is both nerve-wracking and exciting at the same time. I am aging decades every weekend at the moment because the stress, I just can't cope. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to be on any other journey, to be honest. So that is the main passion. I do love a bit of international football, as you can see. I've got a soft spot for Italy because I was a defender myself, and they have so many great defenders over their history. And when it comes to the NFL, a lot of people are going to hate this. I am a Chiefs fan. Go Chiefs. And I know Dom probably is the last person who wants to hear that after this recent Super Bowl. but I am a bit of a newbie still with NFL. I've probably been watching 3 or 4 years now, and still sometimes I'll be watching a game, something will happen, and I am clueless. I have no idea what the referees are throwing their flag down for. I don't know why we're stopped. I don't know what the replays are for. I try and listen to the commentary team to try and figure it out. And sometimes I can. I'm like, oh, okay, it's because his knee went down and therefore that's why. Sometimes I'm still absolutely lost. So I'm probably going to have a few clangers when it comes to the NFL takes.
Yeah.
How about you, bud?
I'm gonna have a long list, but
Yeah.
starting off, I think my most prolific, my most watched sport would be baseball. So
Yeah.
I would go with the San Francisco Giants. Been watching them as long as I can remember. It's one of those things where like baseball and football will be on in my house growing up. So like Giant season, and then moving on to football season with the NFL, the 49ers. So yes, it is a little bit bitter after this
Yeah.
recent Super Bowl where we're going straight into this as co-hosts. So next year, hopefully, will be different.
The elephant in the room. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. NBA basketball. Growing up, started getting into the Warriors. I do like just watching whatever game is on.
Yeah.
I'll still root for the Warriors, but I do like storylines that are always different each year.
Yeah.
Let's see. NHL. A lot of people might not like this, but I follow the Golden Knights. When they came into being, that's when I started watching hockey, and I'm like, I'll jump on that bandwagon. I'm still relatively new to like the world that is Champions League, and Elliot here has been helping me out, like learning about it. And when I picked the team, I at first picked Leeds because it sounded fun. I liked what they were doing, but the more I talk to Elliot, the more I'm like, Liverpool is just fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think Leeds is a great choice, and I can definitely see the San Francisco connections there, and they're having a great season as well. That's very exciting. They could come back to the Premier League, but Leeds are a club with quite a lot of heartbreak in their history, and it's a bit of a running theme. So you do get picked up a lot by them, only to be let down. And there's some excitement in that. There's always that bit of hope and underdog spirit. But Liverpool, I mean, it's just Liverpool. There's so much that I could bring up and say the miracle of Istanbul, or what about this incredible moment? It's just a club that seems to be a bit magic. That it does it. I know it sounds mental, but I've seen things happen for that team that just don't happen for other teams. The impossible is possible with Liverpool, and that is always fun.
Going off that, like with international football, my team will always be Mexico through my grandfather and stuff, and that team is just always heartbreak every
Oh yeah.
World Cup. But that's most with most countries.
Mexico. I think everybody loves a bit of Mexico. It's the for firstly, it's the fans. They just don't stop. The culture and the noise, the drums, the music, the mariachis, and the dress up. It's incredible. It's like nothing else. So for that alone, I'd love to go and see a Mexico game live. It'd be even if they lose like 4-0, they're still up for it. They're still dancing. They're still singing. I just love that sort of passion to the fan base. And they are. I think they're everyone's sort of favorite underdog when the World Cup's on. Even myself, I'm sort of looking at it going, Mexico, Argentina. Come on, Mexico. You can do this. You can get one over and
Hmm.
shock the world. I remember the goalie, I think it's Ochoa, Guillermo Ochoa. Of course, he
Yeah,
does this every time, but he seems to always just pull out a world class performance.
yeah,
It's
he's
so
always
good
the
to
meme
watch.
of the World Cup.
The brick wall. Yeah. You'll always see that Gandalf meme with him. Yeah.
Everyone likes to predict what will happen next. Everyone's gonna have a take on something. So do we. So that's why I think the best subject for this first episode is our own best and worst takes. So we'll give you a little sprinkle of like how right we were, how definitely wrong we were.
Yep. Got a few of
But
those.
I think I want to start off with a high note with
Yep.
this, and I have no proof of it unless I go find like individual people and ask them, "Do you remember me saying this?" But back in 2012, I was in my sophomore year of high school, and the San Francisco Giants won the World Series against the Detroit Tigers. And I was telling people that the Giants were going to win and it was probably going to be a sweep. My basis of that was because during the regular season, they had a 4-game series and the Giants swept them. And this was back in July. Things are completely different from July to October. The teams are somewhat changed, momentum's shifted, which is one thing in my head. I'm like, no, I think they're going to do it again.
So I'm in the middle of recording, and what I just said, I was completely wrong. I looked through the entire 2012 season for the Giants because I was going to post a photo of it. They did not face Detroit until the World Series, so that's on me. I was probably delusional, but I still called it.
And then game one was on, and I was doing my homework with my little brother, and we had the game on the background. And I forgot what inning it was when Pablo Sandoval hit the first home run of the game. I was just slamming the table. I'm like, I feel it. This is it.
Yeah.
Like, I know what I'm saying is true. And then 4 games later, the Giants won in four.
Boom. You must have been so like just walking around with shades on all day, like, I'm that guy. I'm that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm actually wearing my best football take. I can't remember what World Cup this was. It might have even been the Euros. If anyone actually recognizes this shirt, that might help them because it was this shirt in which Italy won the game. I sometimes put down a little football bet. We don't endorse that. It's just something, if you want to do that, we'll step around that. But I put down a football bet on Italy against Spain, and this is a few years back. I only put down £5, $5, if you will, just something to play with. And I put down a really elaborate bet that was just like, this isn't going to happen. It was everything was so precise. It was like this specifically will happen, not loosely. This person will do that, and that person will do that. And I think the ultimate thing was that I said that Italy would win 2-1, and it would be this person who scored, this person who scores for Spain, and then it would be Graziano Pella, the number 9 for Italy, who scores the winner. And it was as if I wrote the script. It was such a bizarre thing watching that game as Italy scored the first goal. Spain then equalised with, I think it was Diego Costa, which is who I said would score. And then the 70th minute odd, Graziano Pella pops up and makes it 2-1 for Italy. and I fall out of my seat. I make the weirdest noise of just, sort of can't deal with the situation. How is this happening? And it was the most nerve wracking 10 minutes of football I've ever seen. Sitting there just praying like nothing changed, no one score, not just kick the ball out, just waste time. It was so nerve wracking. I think even someone hit the post in that last 10 minutes, so my heart nearly fell out at the end. But thankfully, it did finish exactly as I said, and I ended up winning. I think like maybe £150 from that fiver. So
Wow.
best take I've ever had in football by a country mile. Yeah. The stars aligned on that one.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, no, those parlays are crazy because I always see like them nowadays, just like right now with basketball, it's like, oh, this person will score more than this, or this person will get the ball first. Like the complete tiniest of details.
Yeah, yeah. Every little factor can go into it. Who takes the corner? How many corners? Will they go with their left foot? Will they go with their right foot? It's crazy the amount of detail you can put onto these things now.
Relatively recently, one of my worst takes, and this
Oh,
one is online. I tweeted it after the 49ers lost to the Browns in week 6, and that was a bizarre game. Injuries and then a missed field goal ended the 49ers winning streak and an undefeated season after a 5-0 start. But after the game, I felt like, okay, this team still has it. It'll be fine. So I tweeted, this team's not going to lose for the rest of the year. Then they lose 2 in a row.
it's almost like they read your post.
Then we had the bye week.
Oh,
Definitely needed that 'cause we went on a roll. Lost the Ravens, which was brutal. This game I actually went to Christmas Day, and lost the Rams was a meaningless game, and then went all the way to the Super Bowl to lose to the Chiefs.
ouch.
And still an incredible year.
Yeah,
It's still fun. They're still going to be good, and I think it's going to be fun next year too.
I must admit myself, I was doubting the Chiefs a little bit. The longer it went on, and there were a few little moments where it's like, that loss to the Raiders was a big one where I went, come on, that's you shouldn't be doing that at this stage of the season. Don't start throwing it away right at the end. Thankfully, they didn't, and they regrouped. But it was those little factors that did leave me sitting there going, do you know what? It could be someone else this year. It could be the 49ers. And actually, I kind of fell in love with the Lions a little bit. I must admit, I totally fell for
Mhm.
the underdog story and all of their history and the pain they've gone through to go this far. I was sitting there quietly cheering on the Lions against the 49ers. I was going, come on, if anyone deserves it, it's probably those guys. And even in failure, they still did brilliantly. And I think they've also got a very exciting future next season. I don't know their head coach's name, but I really like that guy. He's very cool.
Oh yeah, Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell's an incredible coach. I was rooting for Lions most of the year, but like once they kind of faced the 49ers in the championship game, it was one of those weird feelings of like, I've always liked this group. Now they're going against my favorite team, so
Yeah.
like I can't root for them anymore. But like the whole world seemed to root for the Lions. I'm like, this is just a weird feeling.
I'm the bad guy. Yeah.
Exactly.
And what's worse about it is you still can't help but appreciate it when they do something good against you. You're like, oh, that was so good. But I hate you, but that was so good. My worst take, oh god, I mean, I've had a few. One that keeps me up at night though, this is going back a few years. I think it must have been 2014, maybe 2016. It's around that era. Roy Hodgson is England manager. We are at the South Africa World Cup, I believe, and England are booed off the pitch by their own fans. The performance is
Ooh.
awful. It's very bad. We're drawing 0-0 with Algeria, I think it was. Just way below par performances, way below par results. It was all looking bad, and there was weird things happening where Harry Kane was taking the corners, and it's like, why are you taking the corners? You should be in the box trying to head them in from the corners. It all seemed like square pegs in round holes. And of course, the British media went after Hodgson, get him out, get rid. And to be fair, a lot of people did as well, and they gave him a hard time. Me trying to be different and being a clever person, I sat there going, well, let's give him a chance. Let's keep Roy Hodgson in a job for another tournament. With consistency, they'll learn more and they'll grow together and they'll get it together and they'll get it, on the pitch. And I think literally about a week after making that impassioned post on Facebook, I think the news headline came up saying Roy Hodgson has been sacked as England manager. It's like, oh, right, okay, let me scroll back and just quickly delete that post where I very passionately said how he needs to stay in the job. So, and actually, I must admit, looking back on it, the British media are always hard on, especially the England football manager. That's a poison chalice for anybody, but they're always going to kill whoever it is if you're in the spotlight. And looking back, actually, yeah, he did need to go. It was too harsh, way too harsh the way he was treated, but he wasn't the right guy for the job and it did need to change. And I'm not Gareth Southgate's biggest fan, but he is better than Roy Hodgson. I can say that much.
It's one of those things when you're the manager for the international sports club. It is like if you don't do well, that's still a loss. And if you do well, that's still a loss if you just don't win.
Yeah. Yeah, you're always compared to your history and things like that. I find it so strange. There's a one that goes around about Gareth Southgate where they say he's the most successful England manager since Alf Ramsey when we won the World Cup. And it's like, yeah, because that's the only thing we've won. That's like that's such a weird thing to compare it to. That's the only thing we've won. So of course he's the best since then. It's such a weird mark to hold somebody to, where you should just look at it and go, is he a good manager? Does he play the team well? Do
Mhm.
we like what we're seeing on the pitch? And sometimes I have to give Southgate some credit. Sometimes, yes, but most of the time, no. I do look at it and it's heart in mouth football. It's a bit too nervous for me. I'd rather it be a bit more confident. And we look like we know what we're doing, and we look like we're going to put it about ourselves. But sometimes I feel like we turn up and we're a bit, oh god, scared of the occasion, scared it's going to bite us in the backside. And in being scared, it often does end up biting us on the backside. Whereas if you're a bit more confident, I feel like you could take it in your stride. I think that's the only thing with Southgate for me. A little bit more confidence in the way we play.
It's good to have going in. And I think that's what I had going into my last kind of best take. And it's not really a take. It was one of those things where again it's the San Francisco Giants. This was in the 2021 season where they had their best season ever.
Mm.
And they feel like all hope was just up and everything was just going their way. And one game they were down 7-0 to the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I remember seeing this tweet saying, "Well, we lost." And I underneath it just replied to them saying, "I don't know. I feel like they're gonna do it. I feel like they're gonna make a comeback. There's a lot of baseball left."
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, they won 8-7 with the go-ahead grand slam in the eighth inning to win the game in nine. And that person's like, "You were right." I'm like, "I was guessing."
Yeah.
I'm just a hopeful person.
I'm just an optimist here. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was such a great feeling because usually I'll say that every time like they're down just by a little bit. It's like, oh, we still have a chance, blah, blah, blah. But that one was just one of those where I'm like keeping morale up amongst the fan base. Like, come on.
Yeah.
This team's done the impossible so far this year. What's not one more? And then when they do it, I'm like, am I a
Yeah.
god?
I mean, I must have imagined the mood shift in that room where you're that far down, and then when it's actually starting to come back, I bet everyone edging your seat, biting your nails, just like praying, please, please, please. I can't imagine how electric that must have been.
Yeah, that was one of the most fun years of baseball I've had because it was always like dire moments at the end and then they would overachieve it until the postseason when they couldn't. But it was one of the best seasons I ever watched, but also worked because I was working with for the team at the time,
Oh yeah,
part of the stadium. So seeing it live, being a part of it, just like the emphasis of it all was just like, this is the vibe that I hope we could continue. Then they didn't the next 2 years,
yeah.
but they changed managers. We signed a couple of good players this year. I'm excited for. So
Promises start
we
ahead.
shall see.
One of my best oh sorry, I probably should go for worst takes. It involves Tottenham Hotspur, a club I don't particularly like actually. I don't really know why I cared so much at the time. I think it was for my friend who supports Tottenham Hotspur, who was very down in the dumps about his club, as Tottenham fans usually are, to be honest, about Tottenham Hotspur. It was going back a few seasons, so maybe 2 seasons ago, I think it was, and they hired Nuno Espirito Santo as their manager, who was formerly at Wolverhampton Wanderers and had done a really good job. He was a former player, former goalkeeper. Oh,
I saw you talking. I'm like, you're doing fine, and I looked at myself. I'm like, oh, I'm not.
When it went black, I thought, is he dropping out? Is he? Oh, there he is. There we go. Yes, so they had hired Nuno Espirito Santo, who was previously at Wolves and had done a fantastic job with them, got them into the Premier League, kept them in the Premier League, and even got them into Europe. So did more than a good job there. Earned the role at Tottenham fairly, and I thought it was a good shout. I thought that's a really good appointment. I can see him doing really well at Tottenham. Sometimes you could just see it in your head, like that feels like a good fit. I can see him wearing the colours of Spurs. I can see him wearing the badge. It feels like that goes hand in hand. So I was telling my Spurs friends, yeah, no, I'd hang in there. I think you've got a good one there. About a month later, I think they'd lost 7 games in a row, and it was probably the worst football Tottenham had played in a very long time. And I think he was fired after 2 months in the job. So I don't. What was I thinking? Sitting there going, "Oh yeah, no, he'll do great." I don't know what I saw that made me think that that would translate, but it did not translate at all. He might be one of the worst Tottenham managers in their record books. He did not do well. So that one I like to keep buried in the past.
Oh, I feel that. And I have a similar story to that. And this was me telling my friend that based off a shirt that Italy was going to do fine moving forward after they had won the Euros. And I'm like, yeah,
Oh
no,
yeah,
they're an incredibly fun team to watch. They're gonna probably like World Cup is gonna be fun, and then they just don't qualify.
yeah. Shock the world.
I just remember seeing that they did not qualify. I'm like, wait, that wasn't the plan.
No, and I think they had quite an easy path to qualifying as well. I don't think it was that hard for them to get it done, and I don't know. They buckled.
It's like winning the Euro was just fine for them, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah, riding the high. One of my best takes. I've had a few times. I can't really. I mean, it's sort of a broad one. I can't remember specifically one occasion, but there has been a few times where I've looked at a football player and I've thought you'd be a really good fit for club X or club A or whoever it might be, or even sometimes for Liverpool. I look at them and think does remind me. I remember Adam Lallana was playing for Southampton, and he would make these incredible runs through the middle of the pitch and just so aggressive in the way he played. And I'd look at him and go, you'd be brilliant at Liverpool. And 2, 3 months later, I pick up the newspaper. Adam Lallana's holding a Liverpool shirt, having just signed for us. I'm sitting there going, clearly, I've got an eye for the talent. Then haven't I? If the scouts agree with me, but that's happened a few times. I've seen a player and thought you'd be really good there, and equally, it's probably a bad take because sometimes it doesn't work out. I think they're going to be a good fit, and then they do horribly, and sometimes they go there and it works out a gem, like Adam Lallana at Liverpool. So. Yeah, that's probably a bit of a mixed bag one for me. There's some good takes and bad takes in that.
For that, whenever a young player comes up, whether it be like football or baseball, I'll be like, I like what I'm seeing from this guy. I'm excited for the career, and then the career lasts not too long. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm ruining these guys. I'm jinxing them.
Yeah, that happens a few times, and it's such a head scratcher because you still can't. You're like, why isn't that working? That should
Hmm.
work, but I don't know. It's something in their lives, personal lives, that are affecting them or
Yeah,
something. But it's strange.
yeah, and sometimes like chemistry just goes down and such, and it's just what happened?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And sometimes it's even like you saw it the first season, and then the second season, it's off. It's just not there. The same chemistry and energy. It's like, oh, okay, maybe that needs working on. We went into the season thinking that was guaranteed success, and actually, it might not be.
The app's telling me like it's like turning off the lights. Like, okay, you've gone on long
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. But yeah, no, thank you everybody for watching. Please do remember to hit that like button and the subscribe button as well. And of course, leave a comment in the comment section if you'd like to. And yes, as Don mentions, will be plenty more of these to come in the future. So I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned.